Hello everyone and welcome back to another AFK journey video. In this video, we're going to be making an arena store priority tier list. We're going to be ranking all of the different things which are purchasable in the arena store to help you use your precious arena coins as wisely as possible. So we have all of the heroes as well as the stellar crystals. Those are the things you can buy. And we're also going to be giving not only a ranking to these heroes, but also an either S plus badge, meaning Supreme Plus is all you have to take them to, or a P for Paragon upgrade priority badge. Okay guys, so we're gonna lead it off with the most valuable resource which is purchasable in the arena store, and those are stellar crystals. So stellar crystals you can get every month. They're gonna refresh and you can buy up to 10 out of the shop, which everyone should definitely be doing. If you're in the champion rank of arena, regular arena, then you will also have an additional 3 that you can buy per week, and you should be definitely buying those as well. Basically, from this shop, you can get potentially up to 22 stellar crystals extra per month. And you need to always be buying them because stellar crystals are the most valuable resource in this game due to how strong and meta relevant certain celestial hypogean heroes are. For example, Freyasto, Elijah and Lila, even Rainier Mythic Plus, even Harak. These are heroes which, if you have them built on your account gets such a massive boost in power, and so you cannot pass up on this. Every opportunity to get stellar crystals from anywhere, you have to make sure you're maxing out on it. So that is why these are the most important. If you take away only one thing from this video, just make sure you're buying your stellar crystals, all maximum per month, and you can't really then go too wrong after that. Okay, so then the S plus tier, and that is going to be the only item I'm going to put in the S plus tier because of just how valuable they are. Okay, now we're going to be going in alphabetical order. So Atalanta is going to come first. So Atalanta did get her Supreme Plus skill upgrade, but that is not enough. Honestly, Atalanta is just not a relevant hero. I'm going to put her in the C tier. Almost every account will be, it will make no difference to you whether you build Atalanta or not. Now, I know definitely every hero is usable in some way for PvP, for example. I wouldn't even really consider every hero to be usable for PvE content. But for PvP, yeah, on offense, you can try basically anything and make it work to some extent. We've seen Kafra replays from Vibin, and even Vibin runs Atalanta. So it's not that Atalanta is just not a good hero, it's just that in this game you have to pick your battles, and you have to choose certain things over other things because it comes at an opportunity cost, right? And Atalanta is just not important for your account. If you don't ever build her up, she is going to have no impact. It's going to have no impact whether you have her or not on your account, so there's no reason to build her as of right now. Anything can change in the future, however, as we're getting more and more heroes out into the game, it's going to be even less likely she's ever going to see any relevancy. So I would say easy skip on Atalanta, and for earlier or like newer players who are starting now, because there's so many heroes to catch up on, I would just say never even try to get Atalanta built. Okay, Brutus. Brutus is really interesting. Now, I think Brutus is a very solid hero. He's good for AFK stages. Not really at a higher level, but in early game he's good for AFK stages, but he can even work at one copy. This is really the amazing thing about Brutus. And so I don't know exactly where I want to place him, because he's a hero that works at one copy really effectively for like early AFK stages. Even in PvP, you can use him at one copy and he can be decent. Now, the issue is for high level PvP, he's kind of been phased out. He always has that unique mechanic that he gets that invincibility, and you can put him like in the back line to take enemy Valor marks, to take, for example, faction talent effects. Like this season, we have the Greyborn faction talents. They're not going to be very effective if they're going off onto your Brutus in the back. So I think Brutus, he has some niche uses. Overall, he's a pretty solid hero, but I don't think he's deserving of the S tier. I'm just going to put in the A tier, and you can even just get one copy of him and never really worry about it too much more, and just use him with that one copy. If you want to min-max him for PvP, eventually, yeah, you would want to fully invest into him. However, the other issue is now that we have the Paragon changes to have intimidation, inspiration stats, even your tanks, you want to Paragon upgrade them. And so like Brutus, if you're going to run him in PvP, you would want to Paragon upgrade him. However, I just do not think he's such a high priority, so I'm not going to give him the P badge for Paragon. I'm not even going to give him the S plus badge, because he's really going to work at low copies for his major job, which is invincibility. If you are if you have the luxury of trying to Paragon upgrade him for PvP, then yeah, you can. However, I just don't think it's a major priority, and like one copy is good enough. But he's a good hero, so I'm going to put him in the A tier. All around solid hero. Okay, now we have Bryon. Bryon is really interesting as well. So Bryon, he's seen some decent PvE usage, like Ravage Realm, definitely battle drills. Last season he had a great charm effect, so he was used in the Guild Supremacy Glyph Shade boss. So he has that going for him. The other thing that he really has going for him is that he can take an enemy Lily Mate interruption for PvP. If you position him in front of your Iron, because he also insta-casts his ultimate, that is going to be, like, it gives you basically protection for your Iron to get the guaranteed ultimate off. And you guys saw we did PvP testing on offensive Siren, Iron, Bryon, Bonnie comps, and they were really effective with Elements as well. Very, very strong comps, and so it's good on offense, and it can be even good on defense. It can be good in clash runs. So I think Bryon is overall a pretty solid PvP hero. Now, I do not think, I don't think I want to put him in the S tier. I don't think he's that high up, but I would put him in the A tier. And I am going to put him, I'll put him behind the Brutus. I'm going to try to order them in placement. But it's just that, like, getting one copy of Brutus is going to benefit your account more. But then if you have the luxury of going for Bryon, yeah, you can build him up and he can be pretty decent. He is a relatively okay Paragon priority, so I am going to give him the P badge. If you're really trying to max out like your Iron team for PvP, Paragon upgrading Bryon is going to be useful for you. Bryon also deals pretty decent damage, so I don't think it's a bad investment for Paragon, but he's just not like the necessarily top option because he is still in the A tier. He's not in the S tier, right? Okay, now we have Cassadee. So Cassadee is it's really interesting. The thing with Cassadee is she has a really unique kit, which does lend herself for boss damage output. However, the problem is she is not useful in PvP, so that takes Paragon out of the picture. You should not be thinking about Paragon upgrading Cassadee. And where is she actually useful? Even though she has a good technically boss mechanic, like a kit, she is not good enough to be in any even top 5 teams in any Dream Realm boss. In Ravage Realm, yeah, she is a pretty decent option, but there are a lot of good heroes for Ravage Realm. And she's not necessarily herself the overall top damage contributor. But I think she is a decent investment for your account. I think she's still deserving of the A tier. We're putting a lot of heroes in the A tier, but I have to put her here. And I'm going to put her with the Supreme Plus badge. Because Supreme Plus, or actually Mythic Plus, is where she gets the majority of her potential to be used in bosses, but Supreme Plus is her maximum potential. And it would be a priority if you're building her up, but do not Paragon upgrade her. It is not important at all, because she is just she's purely a PvE hero with no PvP applications, which means they should never be taken to Paragon. Okay, now we have Cecia. So Cecia is a hero in the early game. She can be useful for AFK stages, but you can run her with one copy or maybe a couple copies to get her to Legendary Plus. But then I would not overinvest into her because in the late game, she's not really viable for PvP. She can be when you're upgrading her for the early game. But for like the long term of your account, you're quickly going to phase her out of PvP, you're quickly going to phase her out of PvE. But that being said, in the early game, she can be a decent damage dealer for Dream Realm. However, the thing is now we have a lot of good damage here, like Lily May would be good, Odie would be good, Bonnie is good, and these are all priorities for your wish list. That like Cecia, she's just not top tier anymore. I'm not going to put in the C tier, I'm going to put in the B tier, and I'm not going to give her any badge because again, she should not be taken to Supreme Plus. Work with her with a few copies and then switch out of her when you get better heroes on your account. That is basically my opinion on that. Okay, we have Granny. Granny, unfortunately, she's just not really useful anywhere. She's fine for like the tower trials, but tower trials are not a reason to be, I mean the faction tower, right? That is not a reason to be building up a hero because once you level up high enough, you're going to be able to breeze through all of the tower stages, no matter what team you're running. So I don't consider that important. For PvP, Granny is just not top tier. Even though she is kind of like an impenetrable tank, she had some decent use in like the preseason, like right after global launch, but now they're just way better tanks than her. Freesto, Thorin, Almas, that provides so much more to your team that she's just not a good option. So I'm going to have to put her in the C tier. Even less important than Cecia in my opinion. Just complete pass and do not upgrade her, of course. You can completely skip her on your account and it will be no loss to you, basically. Okay, now we have one of my favorite heroes from the shop, which is Hewynn. Hewynn is a really awesome hero. She is definitely more of a PvP hero. For PvE content, she's not really used much other than in like Ravage Realm and in battle drills. Apart from that, she's just not a top option. But for PvP, she is really good. especially this season, her charms which give her the invincibility, that is really exactly what she needed to have good enough survival for PvP to almost guarantee that she can get her ultimate off. Because after Hewynn casts her first ultimate, you have such a power swing in your favor. You have massive healing, massive damage reduction, up to like 34% damage reduction onto your entire team. So she's great in stall teams. She's great for that protection. No hero does it as well as her. Like Coco also does a similar thing. However, Coco has no healing, and Coco comes with a drawback that after her ultimate wears off, there's going to be a calculation which is going to actually trigger the damage that she blocked over the duration. Hewynn doesn't have that. Hewynn just actually cuts the damage by 34%. There's no basically drawback to it. So she's definitely an S hero, not S plus. Again, the thing is with the Arena Store, they have not given us an S plus tier hero from the Arena Store, which, I mean, is sad. People wanted like more impactful heroes like to be added to the Arena Store, and they're not. However, yeah, it is what it is, right? So out of the Arena Store heroes, Hewynn is probably the top tier hero to be building, and she is a Paragon priority due to her PvP relevance. But do keep in mind, she is almost purely a PvP hero, so you do not want to really like focus on investing in her too much until you have all of your PvE heroes sorted. Like over time, gradually you will build her up, but she is going to really shine in only PvP. And so those are not top tier. Even Bryon is mainly a PvP hero. So these are heroes which over time you will build them, but they're just not a major priority for an early game or even mid game account. Okay, and for example, a great team that I'm running, even on the whale account, is a Hewynn, Damien, Tassi, Bonnie, Taylene, stall team for Supreme Arena. It is one of my top Supreme Arena defenses. In Clash Fronts, I'm running the same. This is showing you how strong Hewynn actually is. She's not just a part of like mid-level spenders or PvP teams. She's a part of the overall top PvP teams in the game. And so that is why she is a big priority. Okay, Igor. Igor is really interesting. Now, the thing with Igor is, again, he's almost purely a PvP hero with almost no use in any other game mode. Now, he is actually a pretty interesting PvP hero due to the fact that he can stall out enemies, he can function as a pseudo tank, he has pretty good damage output, and he's actually one of the most difficult to kill and remove heroes in PvP. He is counterable with Odie, and he is counterable by Cryonaya. Right, so that is the issue. But I am going to put Igor. I am going to put Igor in the B tier. However, there's an argument even to put him in the A tier, but I just don't want to overload the A tier. I'm going to put him at the top of the B tier, and I am going to say, if you're planning to build him, he is a Paragon priority due to his PvP relevance. However, he is just not as important as the other heroes in my opinion. And honestly speaking, like I've ordered it over here, I would be focusing much more on Hewynn, definitely. And then for the A tier heroes, I would probably build Bryon and Cassadee both up to Supreme Plus before I would begin working on Igor. But like for like the higher spenders who really want to max out PvP team comps, Igor can be a nice, interesting option. And so yeah, that is why he comes down the line, right, in the B tier, but he is a Paragon priority if you're planning to build him up. Okay, so we have Lumont. So Lumont is a tank hero from Mauler faction. He has knockups. He is really difficult to kill. So the thing about Lumont, he's also pretty much specifically a PvP hero. He did have some AFK stage use in the Waves of Intrigue season, but this season I've hardly seen him use at all. Probably because now we have the Twins Iron Almas comp that is just dominating the meta, that you don't use Lumont really much for AFK stages. For PvP, is still good. I have seen him used effectively in like a Mauler stall team and Supreme Arena defense, which is pretty difficult to deal with. So I'm going to consider him a niche, very niche PvP hero. I'm going to put him in the B tier. So because I consider him a purely PvP hero, and I feel like Igor, I would probably be building up for PvP before Lumont. I'm going to put Lumont behind the Igor, but I will. If you want to use him in PvP, he is going to be a Paragon priority. But just keep in mind, you want to work down the list here. The S tier, those are the top Paragon priority, and really, like, I would not be working on any other Paragon hero, like up to Paragon that is, until Hewynn is basically max, like Paragon 2, Paragon 3, as high as you can get her. The other heroes are a much lower priority. You could definitely build them up to Supreme Plus if you want to be, like, to complete the collection. However, you should not be Paragon upgrading them until the higher tier heroes are fully Paragon upgraded. Okay, now finally we have Rowan. Rowan is a hero good for AFK stages. Even at a later game standpoint, he's relatively used in AFK stages. He's decent in PvP and some boss comps. Like Ravage Rum, he's usually going to see use. In PvP, Rowan is really awkward. Like, the thing with Rowan is that he's an energy booster. He does well with heroes which are really ultimate dependent, like Cryonaya. However, he is mainly going to be an offense hero because if you run him on defense, the opponent can bring Lily May to try to interrupt the Rowan, or the opponent can just try to nuke you from the beginning before Rowan is able to cast his ultimate. Or they can even bring Dunlinger to counter Rowan, or like ultimate charging strategies. So Rowan has issues on defense. I don't consider him a strong defense hero, and I would basically never run him on defense. But in an optional team. But for offense, he can be good. Into specific comps. For Clash runs, he's good because then the opponent cannot counter your comp, and so you get that advantage. Is basically like offense. And for AFK stages, he's pretty decent. So definitely, I'm gonna put Rowan around the tier of Brutus. I'm gonna put him actually before Brutus. I think he's a more important hero. Now, as for upgrading him, technically, Paragon upgrading Rowan can be fine. However, it's a major investment, and honestly, because I don't think he's super dominant in PvP, for most people, I don't consider him a major upgrade. However, that being said, he still is a hero which I would consider Paragon upgrading, and so we are going to give him the P badge, because on certain comps, especially on offense, you can take advantage of him, and because of now we have Inspiration, Intimidation, you would want to have as much stats on him as possible. But Rowan is also a hero which works well with low copies. Even in the early game, just having one copy of Rowan, he does a lot of his job at that one copy. Mythic Plus and Supreme Plus just kind of like improve his effectiveness, but mainly of his healing. Like in terms of the energy provided, it is going to be the same whether he's one copy or whether he's Supreme Plus. And that is why him and Brutus are kind of similar in that regard. But overall, this is going to be kind of my tier ranking for the Paragon priorities, as well as for the actual importance of building this hero on your account. So you're going to look at the tier, that is the importance of building this hero on your account, and then you're going to look at the badge, and that is going to be, should you Paragon upgrade this hero, or is it at all important for them? So basically, now evaluating this tier list, I am happy with it. The A tier and above, A and S tier, those are the heroes which I would say everyone should eventually have built on their account. Igor, Lumont, Cecia, the B tier, and then the C tier, Granny, Atalanta. You can pass on them and never build them. I don't think it's really going to harm you too badly. Then you can begin Paragon upgrading. You can upgrade the Hewynn in Paragon first, and she should be your first priority, and I would just keep upgrading her until you're capped out, and then you can try working on the other ones. But that is basically my recommendation, guys. If you have any other insider opinions, you can share them in the comment section down below. If you disagree with anything, if you have any other advice, feel free to let me know. But I'm overall fairly happy with how this has turned out. And yeah, of course, Stellar Crystals, #1. And if you take away only one thing from this video, just buy out the Stellar Crystals every single month as much as you can. And then you can't really go wrong with anything else. But anyway, guys, I will hopefully do another video. I will do a video like this for Dream Realm. And there's a lot more heroes in the Dream store. So that will be more interesting as well. And also because we have the temporal essence to really compete with. That is actually going to be the difficult thing, because that's even something I'm trying to figure out right now, is like the trade-off between getting the temporal essence versus the hero copies. So that will be a really interesting topic, but yeah, that will be to come. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching. If you're not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please subscribe. We're on our road to 20,000 subscribers, and hit that bell icon so you're notified of our latest upload. Also, guys, feel free to join my AFK Journey Discord server. There's a link to that in the description of this video. But thank you guys for watching. I'll hope to see you in the next video. And until then, everyone, peace out for now.